to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so attendance and all votes will be done through roll call. So board members, when your name is called, please cast your vote with the 3 available options of yes, approve, no, disapprove, or abstain. Board members, please respond here as I do roll call so that we know that whoever's on Zoom can hear us and we can hear them. So having said that, very quickly, roll call. David G.
Yes. Here.
Jade.
Here.
Annie.
Here.
Dane.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Online. Yep, got him. Christine.
Here.
Kathy.
Here.
Hattie is not here at this time. Rebecca.
Here.
Betty.
Here.
Sean, I believe, is also absent tonight. Kelty.
Here.
David T. Here. Eric.
Here.
And Esme.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. Before we really get started, I'd like to remind everyone of our agreed upon core values, which are integrity, perseverance, family, respect, collaboration, and trust. These values support our district mission of being a caring school community dedicated to excellence, and our vision of being safe, dynamic learning communities where people of all ages will think, aspire, and participate as responsible citizens in an ever-changing global society. As Jay mentioned already, this business meeting is being held in person as well as in Zoom. So we're going to start tonight with our student reps. So middle school, you want to go first? Okay, you're up.
So, excuse me, that was how loud all of a sudden. So on Acadia, the ELA class has been doing work based on the Christmas Carol, which they recently read, and they just did a play about it. So then they also have been working on persuasive writing and making a good thesis statement. So in terms of math, the 6th graders have been working on proportional relationships and unit rates. The 7th graders are expanding on what they learned last year with the proportional relationships where they were, where the work they did as 6th graders. They've also been learning about scale factor and constant of proportionality. Sorry, I already said that. And the 8th graders have been learning about coordinate planes and solving problems using it. So Mr. Holman's core classes on Acadia have been focused on the history of Rome and the Revolutionary War. One of the activities we'll be doing for the rest of the trimester is one where we'll be split up into 3 teams: Loyalists, Neutralists, and Patriots. Then we're going to research the Revolutionary War and try to convince each other to join the side. Your side. So then there was, we're also learning about bacteria and viruses, and we even had a chance to swab a surface and then put it in a the swab in a petri dish and see what grows. So let's see, student government has recently finished up their door decorating contest, and the holiday happenings is a big success. On Sebago, they've been reading and discussing books together on a book club. And they just finished the book called Wildfire, which was actually written by a main author. Then they've also been working on human anatomy, as well as their projects that involve things like woodworking and other hands-on activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Carter.
Moose has been working on informational reading and writing. And as for math, 6th graders are working on dividing fractions. 7th has been getting ready to finish Unit 2 and inequality. As for 8th grade, we have been getting ready to finish Unit 2 and the Pythagorean theorem. finally, they're starting to look at habits of mind in some of their core classes. Moxie is still working on natural disasters, learning about tectonic plates and how they take part in natural disasters, and also doing narrative reading and writing. In Spanish, has been working on Spanish-speaking countries and their capitals. They are learning about Spanish food and going to start learning how to say in Spanish their likes and dislikes. In French, French has been working on verbs and proper spelling of. German has been working on geography and German-speaking countries. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lila, and on the Royal team in Miss Satterfield's core class, we have been learning about our rights for our country and rules that we follow to keep us safe. We are learning about our court and all the things that go into making trials happen. In Miss Ryder's core class, we have been looking on how to observe in order to be a good detective. We have been trying to solve mysteries and using our clues to solve them. We are also looking at atoms and molecules and doing experiments with them. In Miss Cher's core class, the Royal team just welcomed Miss Cher, who will be our new teacher on the Royal team. Miss Cher is picking up where Miss Gilbert left off, and we are learning about relationships and what different types of relationships there can be and what they look like. In math, 8th graders are learning about how to use the Pythagorean theorem and how to solve problems using it. 7th graders are learning about inequalities that can be showed by using equations and equality symbols. 6th graders are learning about ratios and proportions, and they are working on ratio tables to solve problems. On the Catan team in reading, students are working on book groups with other students and talking about their interests in books. In math, and 8th grade students are learning about fractions. 7th graders are learning about expressions and equations and values, and 6th graders are learning about decimals and fraction. And on the Catan team in writing science, students are learning about the scientific method and the periodic table.
Great. Thank you for all that information. Do any board members have any questions or comments for the middle school students?
Just exciting things going on. Thank you.
Thank you for gathering all that information and letting us know. It's really interesting to hear. Thank you. Do you have high school? Oh, yes, we do. There she is. You're on.
Hello. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of a short recap since we had break, but in council, we had our first meeting since break had started. A lot of the discussions were about like finalizing a lot of the projects like Monday Morning Munchies and our Eurostreet dance. And we were actually able to finalize Monday Morning Munchies to get them started next Monday. School Spirit has started getting their winter carnival plans, and they just basically have made rough draft plans to start it all out. Outreach has also begun their carnation sale project, which is where they order carnations every year around Valentine's Day, and people can like order some for like friends and those type of people. And they were able to contact the usual flower shop that we usually get them from to see their prices. Student Voice, it was getting their date finalized for the Eurostreet dance, and we're also meeting to get other plans like decorations and chaperones, sheriffs, and all of that stuff. The tech group has gotten their Chromebox for the monitor setup. They also have sent out a slideshow for all the committee heads and go-heads to fill out to make committee announcements for the TV in the lobby. Prom committee has met a couple of times to get the prom dance started. It's mostly just been discussing themes and ticket prices. And lastly, Rho Kappa NHS had a guest speaker from Representative Vivi Hassenfuss and Max from the First Amendment Museum, and we basically got to discuss current events and problems in the community and different ways that they've been solving them.
Thank you.
Basketball boys and girls have had a game against Coney yesterday, and unfortunately they both lost. Their next games are tomorrow. In skiing, Alpine and Nordic have so far gone good to start their season, doing lots of practice, and their next meet is Friday. Girls hockey has had a really good season so far, and they have a game on Saturday against the third best team in the South. Jazz and Concert Band have a concert next Thursday. And the production of Clue has started. Auditions happened right before the break and they started rehearsing this week. Their first run through of the script was yesterday. Also, additionally to all of this, the Teen Issues class has held Teen Issues Day right before break. Teen Issues was used to discuss and break the stigma of mental health and to give students a day to learn about mental health with guest speakers from the Yellow Tulip Project. That's all.
Thank you for that information. That was a lot. I was trying to follow all that. That's great. A lot of things going on. Thank you. Do any board members have any questions or comments for the high school reps? Jane?
What is Monday morning munchies?
Okay, so it's kind of a fundraising project a little bit. It's basically on Mondays. We'll have, if I can remember right, it's like hot chocolate and hot tea and like little breakfast items like muffins. I could be wrong about that. I think it might just be beverages. And I think they're like $1 each or something like that, just fundraising for council and Senate budget.
Can I ask her about remember last meeting, she was talking about the bathrooms?
Yes.
Do you want to, can I ask her? Can you elaborate a little more on the bathrooms and what the concerns were?
So a lot of the concerns were like broken down stalls, things just like the faucet's not really working, a lot of stuff like that. It's basically just kind of how I think since like we had the first official lockdown, a lot of things haven't just been updated. So it's just been kind of broken down and a lot of students have just been making comments about it throughout the last few years, but it's kind of been hard to like do something about it because of, being in and out of lockdown. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
So it's not just me that can't get the faucet.
No, like a bunch of them are broken. Like in one of them, I think there's like one that works. Yeah, there's hand sanitizers and a lot of teachers, almost every teacher has hand sanitizer in their room. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so next on the agenda is citizen comments. In accordance with RSU 38 policy BEDH, public participation at school board meetings, the following guidelines will be followed. For those attending via Zoom, you will notice that the microphones are muted except during the identified portions of public comments for this meeting, which is number 4, which is right now. If you're viewing on Zoom and would like to speak during the public comment time, please use the chat feature to notify Diane McGregor and she will communicate with me. In-person speakers, please sign up on the sheet on the clipboard by the door. All speakers, please identify yourself with first and last name and the town that you live in. Priority will be given to individuals who live in or pay taxes in our member communities, immediate family members of enrolled students and employees of RSU 38. Individuals that do not have one of these direct connections to our district may or may not be given permission to speak at the discretion of the board chair. We ask that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes, and if someone who has a similar view of yours speaks ahead of you, please reference their comment rather than repeat the same ideas. We want to hear from all our stakeholders and ask that you be respectful with your constructive comments to the board. I would also like to clarify how we address concerns that are brought to us from the public. In accordance with RSU 38 policy BEDH, we welcome all respectful comments and concerns, and we ask that you not use any derogatory comments or use names of or identifying comments of any district personnel. We cannot discuss specific personnel matters in the public setting, but we can listen to board concerns that folks may have. All speakers are to address the chair and direct questions or comments to any particular board members only with approval of the chair. The board will hear and record comments and questions, but will not debate the matters at this meeting. Board members' questions must be addressed through the chair. Following the meeting, we will take time to research and gather information on the matters that have been brought before us. And at the next board meeting, we will follow up with information on those issues. The public is always encouraged to call the superintendent at any time with issues and concerns. So do we have any comments from the citizens? Do we have anybody that signed up? Is there anyone online, Diane? No. We're checking to see if there's anyone has signed up. No one has signed up. No comments from anyone? Okay. So we will move on to number 5, any additions or adjustments to the agenda by the board or the superintendent.
I don't have any of this.
I have one I'd like to bring ahead, and that is, I would like to give a really brief legislative update about the information that I'm hearing that may be going to the legislature or may not be. I just want us to be aware. So if that's okay with people, that we could add that to the agenda. It'll just be a really short. And I'm thinking we could do that maybe number 8.
That's number, right before number 8?
Right before number 8.
Okay.
Yep. Do folks want to discuss the bathrooms and the sink situations?
Yes.
Okay, we can put that after the legislative update.
Let's do it right after.
Okay,
Before I ask for an addition, is there any further information on the SRO like to be?
Oh,
If so,
yeah,
I'll just ask.
why don't I give you a quick update on that right at the end too? Yep.
okay. Okay, anything else? All right.
We do. I'd like to invite Mr. Steve Bose up. He's got a quick celebration.
So I just want to give a quick update on our CDL program. Some of you, Kathy especially, has probably heard about this a lot over the years. So, but some of you are new. So I just want to kind of give you a kind of an update. Our CDL program here is obviously run like a business. If we don't have money coming in, we can't operate. And so it's always a struggle. And I always get a little scared every year whether or not we're going to actually have enough funds to come in to be able to continue to do the things like pay my staff, run vehicles, maintenance, repairs, all those types of things. So when grant funds come in, and I know I have a dedicated amount of money, it certainly makes things a lot easier. So right before, well, last meeting we had, Jay wanted me to get up and actually speak to this, but I had not received a commitment from our grant provider. But I did receive a commitment from KVCC, and they're going to cover 60 spots next year, which is over $250,000. So pretty excited. That finances us for another entire year. So I won't be staying up late at night worrying. So I'm pretty excited about it. It will cover things like all of our vehicle repairs. You know, when I say $250,000, it sounds like a lot of money, but this year I'll expend probably $80,000 in just vehicle repairs. So it does go quick, but it is really nice to know that we have a dedicated amount. It will help a lot of people. The training will be provided completely for free for those 60 individuals. And so with everything that we're trying to do right now, all the worries that we have about finding school bus drivers and people to fuel our houses with oil and deliver goods and services and those types of things and box trucks. You know, it's really nice to know that over the next probably 2 to 3 years, we're going to push out probably over 320, 330 drivers. So, I mean, just a small program like this, we're really doing great things for the state of Maine.
That's great.
Any questions?
Any
Kelty
questions?
pass?
We can't talk about-
Not yet. Working on it. Last class tomorrow.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a great program, Steve, and
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
very proud of you for facilitating this because we've got students, but we're all grown-ups, really, mostly. There's a few 17, 18-year-olds in there, actually, young budding linemen, but that's just it. We've got people all over the board.
Right.
And all over Maine because it's so few and far between to find these facilities offering this class. And it's a commodity. And so you hold it and they're coming here and that's great. And it's a huge service to all of Maine, really. And you know, the feds haven't made it easy. So
No.
it's a hard, long class, but you are doing it. And so thank you for facilitating.
Yes, I thank you for that.
I do have a question, Steve. I'm just wondering if there's any opportunities for students in our high school to take the class.
Right now, the KVCC has asked me to prioritize anybody who's going into the lineman program. So if we have students, and I've already reached out to guidance, who are going to apply for the lineman program for next year, they can get prioritized with those grant funds and be able to take the class. Now, any student is eligible to go ahead, like for this summer when we offer a class, they can apply for the grant funds. And so if you have a student who's, 17, 18 years old who would like to come and participate in the class, they can apply for those funds as well. It's not just for certain individuals. As far as going for a high school class, an actual high school class, we've had that in the books for a little while. COVID kind of put the kiboshes to that. We had a class that was actually running with 3 students. COVID hit. We kind of got behind the 8 ball for 3 years. We were planning on having a course, hopefully like this spring, but we are down an instructor. We did have 3 instructors. We have 2 at this point. And that individual, when they left us with 20 students. So we have, instead of 20 students for my instructor, we have 40. So it's made it very difficult. I do have an ad in place right now. We do have some candidates, so we're hopeful we're going to get some people in and be able to do our range and road instruction, catch up, and then be able to fulfill our promise to those students, because we did tell them 3 to 4 months, and I would not feel comfortable if we had to drag that out to 6 months. It's just not fair to them.
So I just, I've heard from a couple of high school students that they would be really interested in doing it. So I just thought I'd ask to see, is there an age limit? They have to be 17 or 18 or?
They have to have their Class C license, so that's usually 17 years old. And then, but that's the only requirement. After that, they can't go outside of the state.
Yeah.
They can't drive a school bus or hazardous materials. So there are some limitations on their license. But no, I'd encourage them to come in, and I have that list on my wall. There's about 12 students that, because I did reach out to guidance and alt ed and a couple other programs and asked them who would be interested, because we were really working in that direction, but we came up against some roadblocks, unfortunately. But we are still actively pursuing wanting to go to high school. I think it's a great program. Just like we send people over to CATSI, eventually schools could send individuals to us.
Right, that would be great. Good. Well, thank you for all the work that you've done. We
Yes,
really
no.
appreciate it. Okay. So does
I have
anyone
a-
have any questions?
I
Go
do.
ahead. Sorry, Tyler, go
Um,
ahead.
What would it cost us as a district to provide that class to our students that are eligible for free? Because they are,
Yeah, Tyler, we actually have money in our budget for that. And it just we haven't spent it, but last year we had budgeted $10,000 to be able to put high school students through the class. So
okay,
that money is still
perfect.
sitting there, and as soon as we have students, we'll make use of it. So,
Perfect. Thank you.
yep.
Any other questions? Does anyone have any questions for any of the reports that we read? Thank you for those detailed reports it's really interesting for us to read all the great things that are going on in all of our schools and all the good happenings. And it would be really helpful for us if we ever could hear some of the issues that you're facing that maybe we could help support you with. So you might want to just think about sometimes when you're writing your reports, that if you could just say, well, this month has been kind of a challenge, and we want to know that so that we can see what we can do to help support you. So, but great job with all the information is really very valuable. Anything else? Do we have any committee reports? We don't have policy committee. Facilities, transportation, we haven't met yet.
They haven't met there. All these meetings are coming up.
Right, they're coming up.
Yeah.
Policy committee did meet last night.
They did, yes. And we do have the first reads there. I won't list them all out, but please, they're all in your packet. So please let us know. Annie, I don't know if you had anything for the first read, or was it for the second?
I do. It's a rather simple edit. It
Yep.
just has to do with syntax. Should I read what
We
I
would
am
love to hear which
proposing?
policy and.
Okay, it's EDC, employee use of school equipment.
Yep.
Like I said, it's rather simple, but the final sentence is on page 14 of the introductory paragraph. Subject to the following conditions, the board of directors will approve of this practice. It just reads a little disjointed. And I have a suggestion. I simply suggest that we change it to the board of directors will approve this practice subject to the following conditions, colon. It just reads a little smoother. But that was my only comment. Yes, the board, so my proposal is the final sentence of the introductory paragraph. The board of directors will approve this practice subject to the following conditions, colon.
Anything else? No.
Can we ask questions about notes from a committee meeting?
Yeah.
I'm just curious on the Narcan training for students. Anyone from the Health Advisory Committee could elaborate?
I know Sarah's here tonight. Are you able to speak to the Narcan training tonight? Okay, that would be
please.
helpful, yes.
This will be a very sort of basic answer. At the meeting, it was raised as a suggestion. I think it would be, something that would be useful if it were, offered to students and staff in the high school, because the Narcan is located with the AED in the high school. So it's something that, with training could potentially be, something that students could be trained to utilize as needed. Like potentially like if the health center wasn't open or something like that. So that was all, we sort of talked about it. I think we'll come back and maybe talk about it again. But that was really, it was very preliminary kind of a suggestion. And I think it, could be useful if we explore, how to deliver that training effectively and to whom.
Thank you.
Questions or comments on any of the reports? Okay, we'll move on to the action items. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of our December 7th meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2022 meeting.
Second. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2022. We'll do a roll call vote.
David G,
Yes.
Jade.
Yeah.
Annie,
Abstain.
Dane,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
oh, excuse me, Kelty,
Abstain.
and David,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Esme.
Yes.
Good. Passes
So-
with 2 abstentions.
So with the 2 abstentions because you weren't here, is that what? Okay, thank you. So the next one is to accept the donations as presented to us in our packet. I move we accept the donations as presented. Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the donations. Any discussion? We'll take a vote.
David G,
Yes.
Jade, Annie,
Yes.
Dane,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
David. T,
Yes.
Sorry. Eric
Yes.
and Esme.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay. So is there a motion to ratify first probationary contract teacher at Manchester Elementary School for the kindergarten, Mackenzie Lewis?
I move that we ratify the first probationary contract teacher at Manchester Elementary, grade K, Mackenzie Lewis.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to ratify the first probationary contract for Mackenzie Lewis. Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a vote.
Sounds good. David G,
Yes.
Jade.
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Dane,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Kelty.
Yes.
David T,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Esme.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay. Is there a motion to consider the revised RSU 38 certification handbook?
I move that we consider the revised RSU 38 certification handbook.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to consider the revision of the RSU 38 certification handbook. Is there any discussion?
We have Leslie Boyce and Tony Parker here. If you guys would like to explain some of the additions. And then if there's any questions.
So actually, this is more of just a cleaning up. We're continuing to keep up with the DOE and their changes and trying to keep that going. So basically, and one of the things that we wanted to change was to clarify some of the language. For example, it seems, kind of trivial, but certificate and certification, we wanted to just clarify that and make sure that, that was all as it should be. That's primarily. Do you have anything to add? You're right. Yes. Just the latest changes.
Betty?
There certainly was a lot of changes, and thank you for cleaning that up.
It's a lot.
Continues.
Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you did, and thank you for coming in tonight in case we had any questions.
Ready for a vote? All set? David G.
Yes.
Jade.
Yes.
Annie.
Yes.
Dane.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
David Twitchell.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
And Esme.
Yes.
Again, unanimous.
So now is there a motion for consideration of an overnight trip?
I move to consider an overnight trip and the Smooth Island team to Scudic Institute, Winter Harbor, in May. Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to consider the overnight trip requested by the Moose Island team to Scudic Institute in Winter Harbor from May 15th to the 17th, 2023. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will do a vote.
Well, it was nice because this is the same trip that a team went on in the fall. They're just doing it in May. So we're excited that we got another team that's doing it. Sorry, probably shouldn't be talking. I apologize. On to the vote.
Discussion.
David G.
Yes.
Jade.
Yeah.
Annie.
Yes.
Dane.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
David T.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
And Esme.
Yes.
Unanimous against.
So do we have a motion to award the municipal lease for the school bus?
I motion to awarding of the municipal lease for school bus.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the municipal lease for the school bus. Any discussion?
Sort of a question. We were talking about electric buses. I assume that we didn't
Yeah.
move on that. 'cause the
We
grant
didn't get the
come through.
grant, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the grant. So at this point, we're gonna stay where
Stay
we
where
are
we are.
until the next round comes around. So.
I have a
Oh,
question.
Kelsey, go ahead.
I guess I'm wondering why we're choosing to do a lease instead of just purchasing outright and then selling at its end of life school standards. So how come we're leasing instead of purchasing?
Yeah, because we usually do a lease just because budget wise, it doesn't hit the line all in one year. So that's why we do the lease, is to spread out the payments so we can budget for it.
Okay, thank you.
I would love to just buy outright, though, just so you know.
I wonder what those price tags look like.
Yeah, they're the same. It's the same. They're about a little over $100,000.
Because the interest rates aren't going down.
No, they are not.
Ah, Okay.
Any other questions or discussions?
Oh, we can vote, all righty. David G.
Yes.
Jade.
Yeah.
Annie.
Yes.
Dane.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
David T,
Yes.
and Eric,
Yes.
and Esme.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, so next on the agenda are the second readings of these policies. Do we want to do them individually?
I would say we could accept it. If someone wants to make a motion where you accept 1, 2, 3, the first 4, we would have to vote the removal one separate. If you guys.
So we
all
can
would
either do them
individual-
all, just vote on all of them at once, or we can do them individually, whoever wants to make a motion either way.
I move that we approve policy IJJ, policy BHC/JGBD, policy ADAA, and policy JIC.
Second. So it's been moved and seconded to approve all of those
Who's sec-
policies.
Who was the second?
Who seconded?
Oh, Rebecca, thank you.
Any discussion? Tyler? No?
Okay, more discussion? All righty then. David G,
Yes.
Jade.
Yeah.
Annie,
Yes.
Dane,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
excuse me, Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
David T,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Esme.
Yes.
So again, unanimous.
Is there a motion to remove policy ADAB?
I move that we remove policy ADAB.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is it absorbed by another policy?
Yes, exactly right.
I don't know if everybody heard that, but this is covered in another policy, so we don't need two policies for the same thing.
All set. All set. Okay, David G,
Yes.
Jade.
Yeah.
Annie.
Yeah.
Dane,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
David T,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
and Esme.
Yes.
Again, unanimous.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we'll move on to just some informational items. So I just wanted to update you on the legislature's committee meeting that I went to yesterday. And some of the bills that aren't actually bills yet, but they're being talked about the possibilities. And I just wanted to let you know, because some of these will impact us if they do pass and become law. And the other thing that I wanted to just mention again is that our voice as school board members is one of the strongest voices that can be heard on the legislature for any bills that concern schools. So I have, and you may have all gotten this video of how to be an advocate for schools in front of the legislature, whether it's writing letters or testifying at the hearings, the best way that we can do it. And I can't emphasize enough how strong our voice is if we do that. It's really important when we start to think about how these new bills, if they do pass, because what we do is we would say why we think they should or shouldn't. And they really listen to us. Because they will impact our schools if they pass. So we need to make sure that our voice is heard. So the first one that's kind of being talked about right now is to extend the lunch time for students from 25 to 30 minutes a day. And this has come up before and it didn't pass, but it's coming back around again. So you might want to just think about all the implications that would have on our school, and what if we were mandated to have a 30-minute lunch. To me, that mandates what our schedule has to be. I'm just putting that out there. So that's coming down the pike. The next one is there's some talk about having a minimum salary for ed techs, like we have the minimum salary for teachers at 40,000. Now they're talking about having a minimum salary for not only ed techs, but all support staff. So that's something else that it hasn't gone, like I said, it hasn't gone to a bill yet, but they're talking about it. So if you hear it, you'll know where it's coming from. And the next one is about superintendent agreements. Right now, superintendent agreements go year to year. So if you want a superintendent agreement, you have to apply every year. There's a lot of talk about once you apply, you're in for life. So that's something else that, you know, we might want to think about how that would impact our school. The other one is having our budget meeting when we approve the budget. Right now, from the time we approve the budget as our budget, and our annual meeting has to be 30 days. They want to extend that to 45 days. And Rebecca might have more information about that, but that's just something else that they're talking about. And I think the reason behind that is because of the numbers of absentee ballots and the way that all is working out, that they're feeling that maybe 30 days just isn't enough. But
Wasn't that asked for by the municipal association?
that was another piece of that, the reason for that too as well. Yes.
So that it would coincide with the municipal.
Right. Yeah. Another thing that they're talking about is looking at having active shooter trainings across the whole state be the same. So all schools will address active shooters in the same way. Everybody would be trained the same way. So that's, again, something that is being talked about. What's my next page? I'm almost done. And the last one that really, a lot of these other ones had to deal with public schools, private schools, however you say that, like academies in different towns that are privately public. So that wouldn't really impact us. The next one would be to have all of the private preschools in the state become publicly funded. So they would be part of the schools. So even though that someone might have a private daycare that has a 4-year-old pre-K in it, they would be publicly funded. So that's something else that's being talked about. So I think that is it right now from what I'm hearing this week. I do meet every week with the legislative committee because there's a lot of things going on right now. So I'm going to try to keep you updated so that when they actually do come about, that we'll know, you know, what's going on, who's voting where, where we stand on all of these different things that could impact us. So if anybody has any questions about any of that, you can ask. I might not have the answers, but go ahead.
The effect of some of these on us, we might know some of the effects, we might guess at some of the effects. Can we give Jay more work to help us figure out the effects, or perhaps those on the board that know more than I do about some of them would speak to it? Eventually, not necessarily tonight.
Right, and I think as these become, you know, some of these may never even make it to the committee,
Right.
you know, so we don't want to spend time looking at things that aren't even going to make it to the committee. When I say committee, I mean education committee. The other thing that I was thinking about, I did want to run this by, I think it would be helpful for us, again, to have our voice heard by the legislators, to invite our representatives to a meeting, just to talk with us about it and have them hear what we have to say about what's going on at the legislative level and how it impacts our schools. So if that's something that you think that would be a good idea, I can move forward and make that happen.
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, good.
I'd like to
Did
hear
that
it.
1 year, didn't we?
I think we've done it before. Yeah,
Charlotte Moore.
yeah. So,
I like hearing that a representative came to the student council like that. So
right, yeah,
that was
yeah.
good to hear.
that was good. Okay, so that's all from this week.
Thanks for keeping your ear to the ground, Kathy.
It's very interesting to
Yeah.
listen to all the things that are going on and how it impacts us and what, you know, what stand the MSBA is going to take. And it's based on what all the local boards want and what our thoughts are on that. So it's important that we are heard. Okay, so next on the agenda is the bathroom update.
Eric, what do we need?
As Abby said, the sinks don't work as well. There's one in the boys' bathroom that doesn't work. But the biggest problem is many of the urinals don't flush correctly. And we've also had one stall that's not been opened once since the school year started.
Can I ask you which bathroom in the high school that is? Because I know that there's several bathrooms and there's been a couple cross wires about which bathroom we thought it was and stuff, so.
The English hallway bathroom is
English
the one
hallway,
with the
thank
non-working
you.
stall, but many of them do not have a working urinals.
Many of the bathrooms.
Yes, many of them.
Kelty?
I remember Sean Drinkwater bringing this up when he was proposing the budget. And so this was considered when the budget was made and approved. So I hope that funds will go to fixing that sooner than later. Yeah, so this wasn't necessarily new news. It's just hasn't happened yet, right? Does it seem like there's more or was that part of the bond?
No, it wasn't.
I don't
that-
think
no, it
so.
wasn't part of
No.
that. No, we didn't do any upgrades.
No.
And I don't know if Esme has any information about the women's
Yeah,
facilities as well, because it would be helpful to kind of steer the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not much better.
Yeah.
It's there's always one sink that has one of the knobs doesn't work. I know a couple people who will not go to the bathroom because some of the stalls don't actually close all the way.
Okay.
Or they have just a block of wood that you just turn, and a lot of people don't like that, which I totally get. And they're not great. Sorry.
Go ahead,
Didn't
Kelty.
mean to interrupt. Wasn't it discussed that there'd be low flow or efficiency toilets even replaced?
We
Is
do
that
have
on the
some
board?
of those. Yes, we
Yeah.
do. Yes,
Okay.
we do have some of those throughout the school. The high school's an old building, so we know that we have things we need to replace there for sure, so.
I think you're remembering the Reedfield discussion.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yes,
right,
we
yeah.
did do
With
that
the
at
low
Reedfield.
flow
You're
because of
right.
the water
Yes, because of
issue.
the water
Right.
issue. Yeah,
That might have been.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
David?
Is this natural wear and tear? Is this some student getting angry at our plumbing and taking it out on our plumbing?
I would say more likely natural wear and tear. There's a lot, it's an old building, there's a lot that needs to be done. I wouldn't say, quite honestly, that our bathrooms are, look shiny and new, I guess is the way I would say that. They do look dated at this point. And there's a lot of wear and tear, and I know when they retro, sometimes they change some divider stalls, I know, but in changing a divider stall, it doesn't necessarily match in the way it's supposed to because it's an old, part of it's old, part of it's new and that kind of thing. So kind of getting things to fit correctly is difficult. So, but what I will do is ask Sean Drinkwater to connect with Mrs. LaForge, go through every single bathroom at the high school over the course of the next month and figure out what needs to be done, and I'll report back to you guys in February on that, if that works for everybody. Yeah, that's thanks. Yeah, yes, thank you.
What about here?
We can do it here too. Yeah.
I mean, I brought it
Yeah.
up at a meeting before, they don't work. And when you go to the bathroom, everybody's getting sick, and it's cold and you guys, you can't wash your hands. That's a problem, and that's a big concern. So I think we need to make sure that they're able to actually wash their hands. So we don't know that only on one side. Makes sense because there's 3 different things all together. And so then you have to go all the way over to the other side to get soap and then go all the way back over. So more than likely, because you're just not putting soap on their hands, would be my guess. Because it takes a couple extra steps to go. So it's just people things, and I'm like,
So I'll ask Sean what can be, I'll ask him to tell us what is an easy fix, what is more of a major fix, and I'll ask him to present that to the board. So that way you guys can say, do we need to allocate money here, there, or whatever to be able to make the changes? But I think we can figure out what's an easy fix and what's a more expensive fix. And I'll ask him to report that back in February, if that's okay with the board. I think that's an easy to do, and we'll go right through middle school and high school and check all bathrooms.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And then update on SRO.
Yep. So just very quickly on that, next meeting, which is Wednesday, the 18th, Sheriff Mason will be here and he's bringing Deputy Day. And we'll put them on as one of the first agenda items, and we'll continue after we hear theirs. Little presentation. You guys can ask questions. They're fully prepared. be able to ask questions or to answer questions, excuse me. And then after that, I think we continue the conversation because obviously we're getting into budget season, so we're going to need to kind of make a decision, but that's where we're at right now. So.
Can we put something out to the public saying like, hey, the sheriff's gonna be here with a
Yeah,
SRO.
great idea.
If you have,
Good idea. Yeah.
That is a good idea.
I'm full of good ideas.
We want to make sure,
That is
we make sure to
staff,
advertise.
Yeah, staff,
Yeah.
staff, students, community.
Yeah. I,
You're a public figure, so
Yeah.
you're
they
Doesn't matter.
certainly, I think, are prepared for that.
gonna have to.
Well, maybe we could let them know that we've invited.
Yeah,
the
no,
wrong
I
200
will
people.
definitely-
Is it right at our meeting that the speakers take questions from
Yes.
everyone?
Yeah.
As opposed to just the board?
Yeah, well, it's up to you guys. I think it probably should funnel through Kathy if it's from the audience or
Yeah, I
whatnot.
think that.
But we can actually
control it a little
facilitate
bit.
letting them submit some questions ahead of time. I think that's a good idea as well. Just say if you can't make it, or if you have a specific question, you can send it. And what I can do is compile, give a list to you and we can funnel through you.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea so that we're not bombarding.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of just them being able to hear what.
Yeah,
they say.
absolutely. I think that's
Yeah.
really
And
important.
then if you have questions, then you can write them down and submit
Right.
it to the center.
Right.
I have a quick question. Do we have any idea, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but do we have any idea of what the hiring timeline would look should it pass and should there be funds allocated in the budget? Is there any way to get on any preliminary sort of wait list for?
Yeah, so we're working with the Kennebec Sheriff's Department. We would be the kind of at the top of the list because we
Okay.
would only be their second school that they're doing this with. So
Okay.
we're the ones that are showing interest. So I know, and I know we've got several local PD people that are very supportive as well. So
Oh, that's great.
I
Okay.
think we're positioned very nicely in the timeline that we're looking at. But as soon as the budget passes, I'm going to be very optimistic. As soon as the budget passes at the annual meeting, then we can start moving on the hiring process right after that. So hopefully if everything goes well, and of course there's always something, but we'd be looking to try to have someone in place for the fall if that's the direction the board chooses to go. So, but that's what we've communicated is it would have to probably be for the next school year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Did we, I don't know if I'm remembering this right or not. I don't have my notes in front of me, but did we talk about doing a survey with students, community,
Yes.
staff members about getting some input? So
Yep.
where
Yes.
are we still gonna, yes, I thought we did.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
didn't dream that
Yeah.
up.
No, you did not dream that up. That's on my to-do list. I'll be very
Okay.
honest.
Just want to make sure we don't lose
No,
track of that. 'cause
no,
I think
it's
getting
there.
all that
Yeah.
input is important.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Thank you for that update.
Yes, quick one, but it's a good one.
So it seems I was neglectful in asking anybody to do the norms. I get to do them myself tonight. So I think we did a really good job. We really, I know that we kept kids at the center and all the discussions that we had, we were really concerned about doing what is best for the kids. And we held true to our values and our core values. I think we did a good job with that. We were trying to make sure that we were sharing the air time and all people were getting a chance to speak. And we were very respectful to each other and we were interrupting and everybody had a positive tone of voice and good body language. So thank you for a great meeting. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? Adjourned.